Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach about parenting through the lens of the principle of self-government. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to get kids to be more positive. There are some things that we do as parents that we don't realize actually teach our children whether to be positive or whether to be negative. Our influence has a big impact on the happiness and the positivity of our children. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about things we can do as parents for ourselves and our children simultaneously, and some other lessons we can share just for them. Parents need to be optimistic. So I want you to ask yourself a question. Are you an optimist, or do you have a tendency to be on the kind of looking at what didn't go right side of things? It's called pessimism. Some people have a habit of being pessimistic, and you need to be honest with yourself to see where you're at, because you can definitely make a change. In fact, I learned very young that I could choose to be happy if I wanted to. I'll be forever grateful for that experience in my life where my junior high principal told me, Nicholeen, why would I ever choose to be any other way besides happy? Why would I pick that? And I realized I actually can pick it. So if a parent picks happiness, if a parent picks optimism, then guess what? Your child has more of a chance of picking optimism and positivity too. But that's not all. Because maybe you might be thinking, well, but I am a positive person. I'm super optimistic. That's why I've noticed there's a problem. Well, don't worry, there's more. When a person learns self-government, they learn cause and effect. And really what we're talking about here when a person is choosing positivity is they are choosing to be in control of themselves, in control of the way they are thinking and processing the feelings that might come along. We all get feelings. We can feel overwhelmed, we can feel worn out, but the way that we process those feelings is really the powerful thing. So can you teach yourself to think like my junior high principal, I'm happy. Why would I choose to be any other way? We can teach ourselves to think that way. So what we need to do is set the example for our children by teaching them, hey, this is a hard moment. We understand this is a hard moment. We feel this could be, sad, or maybe this makes us frustrated or bored or whatever the moment is that's difficult, and say, but at this moment we could think this, which is, I can't do this. This person doesn't like me, or whatever the negative dialogue is. Or we could think, maybe there's something I don't understand. Maybe that person doesn't know how I feel about this, right? We could think something that moves us in a forward direction. We don't have to stop because of a feeling. We don't have to stop because something could potentially trend negative. Instead, we can analyze our own thought and decide if that thought helps us or if it hurts us. And many of the negative thoughts actually stop us and hurt us, and in the end, really are not productive. So I like to call emotions either a productive emotion or a non-productive emotion. We need to make sure that we're staying in the realm of a productive emotion, which means that it should help us solve our problem, connect to other people, and move us in a forward direction. If it's a non-productive emotion, then it might make us feel trapped, disconnected from other people, and alone, and might make us not know how to effectively solve our problem so that we can have a better situation in the future. Teaching our children how they process is part of self-government or self-regulation. A way that you can help your child plan their thoughts to be in a more positive direction is by praising. Part of parenting is correcting the mistakes, but it's also praising the good effort that a person is doing. So if you want to learn self-government, you need to learn that good equals good and bad equals bad. This is cause and effect. It's an important lesson so that a person takes control over their own responses to things. When a parent praises their children 6 to 10 times for every one time that they correct them, then there's this environment that everything's actually okay. I don't need to worry just because I'm corrected here and there, because there's a lot of other things that I'm doing that are actually good, and they're moving in a good and positive direction. Speaking of making potentially negative moments positive, did you know that when you correct your children, you shouldn't actually feel like that's a bad moment or a negative moment? I always tell people you should feel closer to your children during and after a correction than you even did before. What in the world does that look like? Before we get to what that looks like and some of the skills that you're going to want to keep in mind to keep your corrections more positive, hit that subscribe button. There are so many videos on this channel that are going to help you create that environment where your children will learn to be more positive. And you will too. You'll not want to miss those. And be sure to click the bell too, because that little bell, it gives you a notification when I come up with a new video and you're not going to want to miss. So we're talking about correcting our children and increasing the bond during a correction. How does that even seem possible, right? Because many people think negative consequence equals negative or sad or detached moment. In fact, many people, when they're correcting their children, they send them to a place like called timeout or something where they disconnect from the child physically. And then also, of course, there's an emotional disconnection that happens there as well. These things like timeout and disconnecting from someone during a correction are actually entitled behaviors. Keep that in mind. It makes the child focus on how they're feeling, what's happening to them. And so they are feeling manipulated, which makes them more entitled. And the parent is focusing on taking something personally that the child did. This is also a state of entitlement. Really, when we're emotionally reacting at our children like that, this is not good for our bond. So what do we do instead? When we correct our children and we create a good bond with our children during that correction, it looks like this. Instead of reacting to what's going on, I describe and I say, well, just now I gave you an instruction to take your dish over, but you didn't look at me or keep a calm face, voice, and body. You didn't say okay or disagree appropriately with me about it, and you didn't do the task immediately and check back. So those are all 5 of the steps to the skill that I teach my children called following instructions. So then I say, when you choose not to follow instructions, then we need to take a little bit more time to have a talk about it, but that's okay because it's all right to learn new things all the time and to have to be reminded of things that we might forget. So what you should have done is you should have done all 5 steps to following an instruction, which are to look at the person, to keep a calm face, voice, and body, to say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, do the task immediately, and then check back. Since you chose not to do that, then in our family, they earn an extra chore. And then we go on to more practice. Now, when I say you earned an extra chore, okay, they say okay, I praise them. Then we do 3 practices of following instructions the right way. I praise them throughout all of those practices. By the end, they're like, oh yeah, I'll go do my little extra chore. And it's probably very little. Something like take this other bowl over too, as well as the dish that you forgot to take over, right? So no big deal. But there are moments that can be made to feel negative if we don't decide we're okay doing a correction. That's part of our mindset. Are you okay having to do a correction? Can you accept that that child is not perfect and needs you to correct them on a regular basis? And when you do the correction, can you think in terms of teaching and praising instead of just making something feel bad? Because making something feel bad does teach cause and effect, but it might not actually be the right lesson that you're really wanting to teach. Do you want them to learn that they're a bad person, that they can't do anything right? Or do you want them to learn that they're a work in progress, they're learning, and it's no big deal because that's just life? That is the recipe for positivity. So many children nowadays are struggling with perfectionism, and I think it's because parents have presented the lessons in the lives of the children in ways that do not feel like there's hope in progress. Everything is feeling like to the child they have to be perfect now, and that's a big burden for a child to take upon themselves. Positivity with our children is absolutely possible, but it really does start with us. It's so important that we don't allow ourselves to get trapped by our own non-productive emotions. We've got to make sure that we are maintaining connection with appropriate, productive emotions, that we're processing with thoughts that lead us in a forward direction, that we're bonding to our children, looking for the positive, making those correction moments positive too. There's no reason that we can't. If you've enjoyed this video, I know that you'll love my next video, which is called The Expectation Trap versus the Cycle for Success. This is actually a full class that I'm giving you completely for free that will help you not get trapped in some of those negative moments again and again and make the shift in your family culture so that there's more positivity and more progress. Click on the link to that video now.